at an Nazarene church in the Netherlands. I got finished with my message and a woman came up to me and she said, I study how people speak. And she said, I've been listening to you preach this morning and I'm going to tell you where you're from. I said, oh, please do, because I want to know where I'm from. And she said, you're from Minnesota. I said, wow, I'm from Minnesota. And then I thought, my father was from Nebraska, and my mother's from Canada, and so Minnesota's like right in between, right? So I must have learned how to speak English from Nebraska and Canada, and I've ended up in Minnesota. And so, I don't know. The other thing that us third culture kids do, though, is that we try to fit in everywhere in the world we go. We want to blend. We do not want to be noticed. We want to blend in. And so, you know, a few years ago, I was invited to Papua New Guinea to speak to a women's retreat. And everywhere I go, everybody would say, you're the guest speaker, aren't you? You're the guest speaker. And I thought, why am I not blending in? Because I was really trying. Until I noticed they took a picture of me, and I was the giant white woman. I was huge. And I thought, okay, I'm not blending in whatsoever, even though I'm trying. And so we do try to blend in. So that kind of gets me to what, you know, that got me going with this, is that you learn how to talk like whoever it is you're talking to. When I learned how to speak, ich habe erst Deutsch gelernt und dann habe ich English gelernt. I learned German first and then I was learning English. I learned it all rather mixed up. And I used to go around speaking both languages mixed together. You had to know them both to know what in the world I was talking about. I would say things like, Mutti, can I hole you the Schippe? Mom, can I get you the dustpan? Or, I going einkaufen, I'm going shopping. You know, those kind of things. Those were the kind of things that I spoke. So just to understand me a little bit better, ich kann auch Deutsch sprechen. I do speak German. And it's not that big a deal, folks, when you just learn it when you learn how to talk. I mean, I didn't have to study it. It's just, it's there, it's in the head. And the only problem is I moved to America when I was 8, and so I know how to play tag, and I can do all kinds of fun things in German, but then throw the theological German at me, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding, you know? Those words are like this long, and I can dissect them and tell you what each word in it means, but I don't know what the theological meaning of all that stuff is, so I can play tag, it's a good thing. But I told people, I said, you know, the deal is that I've learned to talk American like Americans talk American. But if you really want to know what I'm like, you probably need to hear me talking with my German accent. Because if I talk with German accent, then you would understand that in my head, I am merely a German from birth, and I can hang out with my German friends, and I can have a very good time with all of them. And so that is who I am, you know, from that very first part. So I'm telling you, I'm very weird, because, or weird, as my German friends would say, because I'm from these other places. But then I moved to America, and I moved to America in 1969 to San Francisco, California, which was a very strange place to go in 1969, because it was in the middle of all the hippie things and all those things that were happening in America, and so then I had to try to become American. And I went to elementary school in America, and I had learned my English from my mother, the Canadian. And I remember sitting in school and reading about, I have been to someplace, and I said the word been, as my mother would say it, and all the kids were laughing at me. And I had no idea that I didn't know how to talk American. And they laughed at my pronunciation because I had a Canadian pronunciation. So quickly I tried to learn how to talk American like Americans talk American. So I have been to school, not been to school. So I learned how to do that. Now, I tried to kind of fit in with America for a while until we moved to a whole other country called Texas. Has anybody ever lived in Texas? Yeah, all right. And little did I know, nobody prepared me. Nobody told me that they think that they're in a whole other country and that they happen to be part of Texas. And I didn't live there too long until I started learning how to talk like Texans. And it just rubs off on me, and my husband looks at me and he says, honey, you're talking like them. I said, I'm really sorry. He says, they think you're mimicking them. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm just trying to fit in, because I don't know where I'm from, so I just try to fit in. So I learned to talk Texan, and when I talk to my Texan friends on the phone, I don't even know it. I guess I slip into this accent, and my husband goes, honey, I know who you're talking to on the phone. You're talking to Kathy. I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I did not know that. But both my daughters were born in Texas, and they are native Texans, and I've told them that's a blessed thing, because, you know, when they secede from the nation, then they will have their citizenship and they might be dual citizens. And having never remembered living in Texas, my daughters have no idea what kind of benefit that might be to them. But I said, honey, it's going to be a great thing. Now, my oldest daughter's married to a Scottish young man that's grown up in Britain, and Scotland's going to declare independence. And I said, just think, you're going to be Scottish and Texan, and nobody's going to know what in the world you guys are or where you are from. So I had to learn how to talk Texan. But then I moved from Texas to Russia, and I had to learn new things all over again. And the funny thing is that we had some volunteer missionaries from Texas came to Russia, and they tried to learn to talk Texan Russian, and that was really interesting. Ani изучали русский язык, и это было так смешно, как они говорили по-русски, потому что они говорили как люди из Техаса на русском языке. They talked like people from Texas in Russian. That was a fascinating kind of thing to listen to, as they pretty much butchered the Russian language, and Russians would just stare at them like, what are you doing? Because they understood none of it. And, you know, say Church of the Nazarene in Russian, you say Церковь Назарианина, and they would say Церковь Назарианина. You'd be like, I have no idea what they're saying. So I had to try and learn to blend in with my Russian friends. And я учила русский язык, я потом знала, как говорить по-русски, как они говорят по-русски. I studied Russian language, and I tried to learn how to speak the way my Russian friends speak. And then I would come to America for a couple of weeks every year, and I would study at the seminary with my Russian friends, and we would all live together. And after 2 weeks of living with Russians intensely who were trying to speak English, I was telling them this. I have to work on this one a minute. I went through the drive-thru I remember going through the drive-thru at Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kansas City. And I went through, and I had been with my Russian friends for so long that I had gotten this Russian accent when I talked English, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And I go through the drive-thru, and I said, I would like to have a Pepsi Light. And they said, what? I said, I want a Pepsi Light. That's Diet Pepsi, and you know. And they're going, we don't understand you. So, okay, so you got it. I'm a very confused, messed up individual. So people now say, where are you from? And I'm like, and it just cracks me up. I went someplace the other day and they said, you're from Ohio. I go, really? I've lived here 2 years. I'm learning to be a Buckeye. I'm trying to figure this thing out here. And I've learned that if somebody says OH, I'm supposed to say IO. And I'm trying to figure out all these good things. But just so you know, just to lay it right out there, I just want you to know, I'm weird. I don't know where I'm from, except that I belong to the heavenly kingdom of God. And so that doesn't matter where all we come from. But hopefully that helps you understand why I am such a weird person. Now let's get into the spiritual